Yah, the eternal breath of Yehovah. You overturn the proud and raise up the humble. You breathe through sleepless nights and secret scrolls. You see what man forgets, and in your perfect timing, you act. Yehovah Elohi Yah. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Please fill me and lead me and cover me and stir me and speak through me with your Ruach HaKodesh, that I may speak your written words with boldness and humility to those who listen. I ask all these things in Yeshua HaMashiach's name. Amen. We'll start with the Shema. Listen and obey. Children of Yehovah, pay careful attention and respond. Yehovah is our power and authority. Yehovah works in unity with himself, and you shall act upon your love to Yehovah with your power and authority, with your thoughts and mind, with your entire body, and with all the muchness that you have. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. Hand, behold, nail, behold. Esther chapter 6. That night, the king couldn't sleep, so he ordered the records of the daily Aleph Tav journals brought, and they were read to the king. It was found written that Mordecai had told about Bigtana and Teresh, two of the king's officers from the group in charge of the private entryways, who had conspired to assassinate King Achashverosh. The king asked, what honor or distinction was conferred on Mordecai for this? The king's servants answered, nothing was done for him. The king then asked, who's that in the courtyard? For Haman had come into the outer courtyard of the king's palace to speak to the king about the hanging Aleph Tav Mordecai on the gallows he had prepared for him. The king's servants told him it's Haman standing there in the courtyard. The king said, have him come in. So Haman came in. The king said to him, what should be done for a man that the king wants to honor? Haman thought to himself, whom would the king want to honor more than me? So Haman answered the king, for a man the king wants to honor, have a royal robes brought which the king himself wears, and the horse the king himself rides, with the royal crown on his head. The robes and the horse should be handed over to the one of the king's most respected officials, and they should put on the robes on Aleph Tav the man and the king wants to honor, and lead him on horseback through the streets of the city, proclaiming ahead of him, this is what should be done for a man whom the king wants to honor. The king said to Haman, hurry, and take Aleph Tav the robes and Aleph Tav the horse as you said, and do this for Mordecai the Jew who sits at the king's gate. Don't leave out anything you mentioned. So Haman took Aleph Tav the robes and Aleph Tav the horse, and dressed Aleph Tav Mordecai, and led him riding through the streets in the city as he proclaimed ahead of him, this is what is done for the man whom the king wants to honor. Then Mordecai returned to the king's gate, but Haman rushed home, and his head covered in mourning. After Haman had told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything Aleph Tav that had happened to him, his advisors and his wife Zeresh said to him, if Mordecai, before whom you have begun to fall, is a Jew, you will not get the better of him. On the contrary, your downfall before him is certain. While they were still talking with him, the king's officials came hurrying to bring Aleph Tav Haman to the banquet Esther had prepared. How can we learn to love our Creator after reading this fascinating turn of events in chapter 6 of Esther? We can love Yehovah by trusting his timing when justice seems delayed. Love Yehovah by refusing to grasp at recognition, letting him decide the moment of honor. Love Yehovah by meditating on his hidden providence, knowing nothing escapes his orchestration. How can we love our neighbors as Yeshua loves us? Honoring those who walk humbly in truth, even if the world overlooks them. How can we bear one another's burdens today? Celebrating and defending the righteous when they are vindicated, even if doing so costs your position or favor. What is the Hebrew word that encapsulates this chapter? Hafuch. This word means the divine reversal, where shame becomes honor and evil is outmaneuvered by heaven's wisdom. At Sefer Insight, Hafuk, amplified meaning, the breath of heaven declares a reversal, connecting justice to destiny with an outstretched hand. How can we find Yeshua in the scriptures? Mordecai's public exaltation reflects the suffering servant becoming the glorified king. The sleepless king recalls Pilate's unease, both moved by divine orchestration. Haman's humiliation echoes the serpent's curse brought low while the seed is lifted high. Mitzvah response, Torah-based? Mitzvah, Exodus 23 verse 7. Do not kill the innocent or the righteous. A response might look like this: I will trust Yehovah to overturn injustice and wait patiently for his exaltation in righteousness. Hebrew declaration: Hakol biyad Yah ve'in mechre bi Israel. Everything in his hand of Yah. Everything is in the hand of Yah. There is no coincidence in Israel. We'll end this with the Aaronic blessing using the name. Yehovah will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with a hedge of protection. Yehovah will illuminate the wholeness of his being toward you, bringing order, and he will provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yehovah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you and set in place all you need to be whole and complete. Shabbat Shalom.